breathe your last. Bad news. Die. Goodbye.
Hi there, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Mangs, and it's time for a new Fire Emblem character spotlight. Today we return to the world of Fates to take a look at the explosive and savage ninja, Saizo.
Why the blazes was I brought here of all places?
Saizo is a ninja hailing from the esteemed Igasato clan, a clan of ninja that has served the Hoshidan royalty for generations. He is the older brother of Kaze and the current leader of his clan. Saizo is in fact actually not even his real name, but rather a title that he inherited from his father, and he is the 5th person to carry the title in his family. Throughout the events of Fates, we never learn Saizo's true birth name, as he never mentions it. Saizo and Kaze grew up together with the rest of their clan. While they were mostly busy training to become ninja, they also spent a lot of time tilling the soil and growing their own food, as the Igasato clan hails from the mountains where food is very scarce, so they were required to sustain themselves in order to survive. At some point, Saizo's father was assassinated by a ninja from Mukushu. While Kaze remained ignorant regarding the identity of their father's killer, Saizo managed to track him down. He was a ninja by the name of Kotaro. Saizo never told Kaze about this, however, as he wanted to shelter his brother from the burden of vengeance. Instead, Saizo traveled to Mukushu on his own and managed to locate Kotaro. However, he wasn't strong enough to defeat him, and suffered a terrible wound to his eye during their confrontation, which is still visible to this day. After his defeat at the hands of Kotaro, Saizo was captured by the Mukushu clan and underwent grueling torture as they attempted to interrogate him. However, he later managed to escape his cell and return to his clan in the mountains. However, because of his shame and embarrassment, he refused to tell anyone of what had transpired. Many years later, Saizo would eventually be appointed as the retainer to Ryoma, Crown Prince of Hoshido. While it's not directly told how he landed the position, it's not hard to imagine how it happened, seeing as the Igasato clan had a history of serving the Hoshidan royalty. Sometime after being appointed Ryoma's retainer, Saizo would meet another ninja, Kagero, who was originally the retainer of Queen Mikoto of Hoshido. However, Kagero would later become the retainer of Ryoma at Mikoto's behests, making her co-retainer to Saizo. During their time serving their liege lord together, Saizo and Kagero became lovers. Their relationship did not last long, however, as both of them would continuously get into fights and arguments, with neither of them being willing to concede their points or back down. This eventually strained their relationship to the breaking point, and they decided to end it. But, for the sake of their liege lord, they continued being friends, and swore an oath to never let their personal life interfere with their duty. Saizo would eventually avenge his father's death. The circumstances may change depending on what route Korin picks, but the killer of Saizo's father, Kotaro, eventually perishes, either at the hands of Korin's army or Saizo himself.
You have breathed your last!
Ruthless and brash, cold and calculating, but at the same time, savage and violent. While Saizo may display many sides to his personality that are not obvious at first glance, to newcomers, he always almost comes off as extremely unfriendly or even downright hostile, and he is often prone to hurling insults and harsh language at whoever he speaks to. In his supports with Felicia, we see Saizo at arguably his worst, as he berates her for merely trying to bring food to his chambers as an act of kindness, telling her how awful she is at her job, and not even blinking an eye when she breaks down in tears. Saizo's cold outer exterior is most likely hardened by guilt and shame over not being able to avenge his father, and it's obvious that he is sheltering a lot of remorse. His immense pride and lust for vengeance are two of the strongest forces propelling him forward, and this is most likely very mentally exhausting for him. Kaze remarks in their support that he feels as if Saizo is not as much fighting his enemies as he is violently slaughtering them on the battlefield. This displays that Saizo has a lot of pent-up rage and frustration, and probably has deep anger management issues, which explains his extremely hostile behavior even towards his so-called allies. Saizo also has a really good relationship with his brother, despite them being incredibly dissimilar from one another. They are often described as being different as night and day, with Kaze being calm and collected, with Saizo being aggressive and violent. Despite their vast differences though, they do share things in common, such as a strong code of loyalty and honor. While Saizo initially comes off as extremely antisocial, he is in fact quite good with people, as seen in his support with Laszlo, where the two of them have a competition to see who can get the most compliments from random strangers. Saizo overwhelmingly wins the contest in crushing fashion, completely shocking Laszlo. When asked how he accomplished this, Saizo merely answers that it's a ninja's secret. This reveals that he is not antisocial at all, and that Saizo can in fact both interact with people and be pleasant when he wants, he merely chooses not to. Despite his ruthless and sometimes rude attitude, Saizo is not above apologizing. He has a great sense of honor, and if he steps out of line, he usually shows remorse about it. And his supports with Korin, Ashura, Oboro, and Rinka, Saizo is seen apologizing either for his actions or his words, and while it clearly makes him uncomfortable and flustered, it's obvious that he has a soft spot. He just doesn't reveal it all that much. Above all else, however, Saizo has a very strong loyalty to his lord Ryoma and is probably one of the more dedicated and hardworking retainers in Fates. However, he does reveal that if he had to make the choice between his clan or his lord, that it would be a difficult choice for him to make.
Is Lord Ryoma here? I do have a higher duty, you know.
Saizo's birthday is on the 2nd of October. Kaze and Saizo are the first members of the Cain and Abel archetype who are not cavaliers. In the official Fire Emblem Fates character popularity poll, Saizo ranked as the 15th most popular male character. Out of everyone in Korin's army, Saizo hates sweets the most. According to himself, Saizo's only weakness is being very ticklish. Saizo shares his English voice actor, Benjamin Diskin, with Jacob, Hayato, and Matthew.
I never get tired, so don't insult me with coffee or tea, or candy. Never candy.
Saizo's ending is mostly shrouded in mystery, and is pretty similar depending on the route Korin chooses. Birthright is the only route where he can perish if he is fought and killed in Ryoma's chapter, and if spared, he is seemingly lost with his whereabouts unknown. In all other routes, it is simply stated that he disappeared from official records, but that he most likely continued to serve the Hoshidan royal family, whatever that means. It might be implied that Saizo is still in Hoshido, but that he works from the shadows, undetected, continuing to serve his liege lord to the end of his days. The only alternate ending aside from this is if Saizo marries Korin, in which it just states that he supports the kingdom of Vala, whatever that means.
I'll do everything you command, but only so I can get back home to Hoshido faster.
Saizo is one of the 3 playable ninja characters in Fates. He joins in Chapter 7 of Birthright and Chapter 11 of Revelation. He also makes a brief appearance as a green unit in Chapter 17 of Conquests. While his brother Kaze focuses on speed and Kagero focuses on strength, Saizo's main selling point is high skill and defense. While skill is arguably not a very important stat to have for a ninja, as hidden weapons tend to be very accurate by default and poison deals damage regardless of an attack missing, it does help Saizo proc special skills more often. Compared to the 2 other ninja who both have superior resistance, Saizo's resistance is actually pretty average, but considering hidden weapons have a triangle advantage against magic, he is by no means bad against mages. He just tends to take a bit more damage to them compared to the other 2 ninjas, although he does make up for it by being slightly better at tanking physical attacks. However, he isn't considered a bulky unit by any means, he simply survives slightly longer on the front lines compared to Kaze and Kagero. Saizo also has an unusually high magic growth of 45%, and in this area he absolutely eclipses Kaze and Kagero, who do not have a growth on this stat at all. This means that Saizo can make great use of the Flame Shuriken to deal damage to beefy enemies like Generals and Great Knights, and this usually ends up being better than a Sting Shuriken against armored units. Saizo's personal skill, Pyrotechnics, is an extremely dangerous double-edged sword. If he ends combat at 50% health or below, he'll literally blow himself up, doing damage equal to 20% of total health to himself and all enemies within 2 spaces, though not allied units. The best way to describe this is to think of it as a savage blow, but centered on Saizo himself. While Pyrotechnics is definitely a dangerous skill, keep in mind that it only activates when Saizo initiates an attack on player phase when he is at or below 50% health. It will never trigger on enemy phase. This means that you have perfect control over when you want Pyrotechnics to activate. While many players still don't like the self-damaging aspect of the skill, it can be pretty powerful if combined with other health draining skills such as Savage Blow, which Saizo can obtain by partnering up with Baruka. If you combine Pyrotechnics, Savage Blow, and the ninja skill Poison Strike, Saizo is capable of knocking off 60% of his target's health from skills alone, and this can really help you take down extremely beefy targets. Combine this with stat debuffing hidden weapons, and Saizo can become quite the boss killer. There are definitely more useful personal skills out there, but Pyrotechnics definitely should not be overlooked. It can be used in creative, clever ways. Saizo can at base promote to either a Master Ninja or Mechanist. While Mechanist gives him a mount, it's usually not considered a very good class for him in terms of skills. Golem Bane is pretty lackluster considering most mechanic enemies in Stoneborn are fought in Conquest, where Saizo is not playable, and Replicate, while a really useful skill with a lot of utility, is also extremely risky considering it doubles the chances of Saizo blowing himself up, which will damage both the illusion and himself, which needless to say is very risky. Master Ninja is usually the best class for him as it enhances everything he already does well. With his immense skill growth, he is also one of the most likely candidates to frequently proc lethality. Saizo's reclassing options have some merit as well. Switching to Swordmaster to pick up Astra and then swapping back to Master Ninja will give you what some players likes to call the Shuriken machine gun build. It's pretty entertaining, though keep in mind that Astra does not proc together with lethality in Fates. If you really like living on the edge, you can also pick up Life and Death from Master of Arms to create the ultimate gambling Saizo build, though this is again, as with the Pyrotechnics combo, more of a gimmicky fun build than an actual useful one. Lastly, a skill that is really worth picking up for Saizo is Rend Heaven. With his insane 80% skill growth, Rend Heaven will nearly proc on every single attack, and will really output a lot of extra damage. Saizo can obtain this skill by marrying Orochi or Kagero, which will grant him access to the Basara class. Speaking of marriage, once Saizo reaches an S-rank support with any female member of Korin's army, he will become the father of Asugi, a ninja. Asugi inherits his father's incredible magic stats, so if you want him to take advantage of a flame shuriken, marrying Saizo to a magic user like Orochi or Sakura or even Felicia could make for a pretty interesting unit, though this will also greatly hurt Asugi's strength, making magical shurikens pretty much his only trump card. If you want a well-rounded physical ninja with good strength and speed, consider marrying Saizo to either Ashura, Hana, Hinoka, Oboro, Mosu, Kagero, or Charlotte, as they all have plenty in both areas. If you marry Saizo to female Korin, Asugi will also inherit her great growth rates, and Saizo will become the father of Kana, which can make for a pretty good magic-based Dragonstone unit. Before we round off this segment, let's touch upon Saizo's appearance as a green unit in Chapter 17 of Conquests. While you won't be able to control him directly, you can manipulate his movements by blocking paths with Dragon Veins or choosing to disarm or not to disarm Caltrops. Saizo's behavior pattern isn't hard to predict. He will usually move to disarm any Caltrop within his range and will otherwise take the quickest path towards Kataro, attacking any enemies in his way. Even on hard or lunatic difficulty, Saizo is more than capable of dealing with a handful of enemies on his own, and also comes with a skill that makes him immune to poison damage and stat reductions, so you can use him as sort of a living shield to protect your own units from having their stats lowered. Don't overestimate his survivability, however. He won't be healing himself or care about his own health before attacking, and will easily go down to a few enemies ganging up on him, so you need to keep an eye on him and preferably keep him topped whenever possible. If you can manage to keep him alive at the end of the chapter, you will get some speed wings as a reward after the battle is over, which is something you should definitely aim for. While Saizo does have some dialogue with Kataro, as well as a special line if he manages to land a killing blow, this doesn't yield you any additional in-game rewards, so you don't need to struggle to set this up.
Die!
Saizo is a pretty cool character, but one that I haven't personally used a lot in my playthroughs of Fates, so I had to spend a lot of time reading his many support conversations, though I had an absolute blast doing so. They made me chuckle on more than one occasion. I think it's the first time a character as openly savage as Saizo has appeared in a Fire Emblem game. There have of course been other characters that have been somewhat rude in the past, but Saizo takes it to a completely new level, sometimes delivering a barrage of insults so fierce that it makes his supporting partner run away in tears. While he is cold and uncaring for the most part, he also has a soft spot to him, and because of his ruthless savagery, it's extra special to see it when he does show itself. Saizo also has a character that doesn't feel overly gimmicked or forced, which is quite a rarity in the post-Awakening era. You can totally understand why Saizo behaves like he does based on his backstory, and it doesn't feel like he is an asshole just for the sake of being an asshole, or a character just written for comedic effects. Overall, I find Saizo to be one of the better characters in Fates. Not perfect, but definitely worthy of a 4 out of 5 star rating. Saizo's design is very simple, but extremely effective at conveying his character. Fates is on average a game filled with a lot of colorful characters dressed in fancy attires, so it may be hard for a character like Saizo who dresses in relatively standard ranks to stick out, but he still manages to do it somehow. His eye scar is an extremely memorable trait that really enhances his savage nature, and his mask also helps make him more mysterious. Saizo just looked like a guy that could straight up murder you in 20 different ways, and definitely not someone I would like to meet in a dark back alley. His design is, as I said, simple yet terrifying, and it really makes him stand out as a memorable character. 4 out of 5 stars. There are very few characters in Fates who I consider to be bad units, as the cast is on average pretty well balanced, but when I compare Saizo to his fellow ninja, as well as to some of the stronger units in the game like the Royals, I find that he falls a bit short. A high skill, high defense ninja that deals damage to himself is a bit of a weird combination, and I find that he is greatly overshadowed by his younger brother Kaze, who performs the job of a ninja equally well, but with far superior availability, as he can be trained in the prologue. Still, Saizo is by no means a bad unit. Just like almost every other character on the roster, he becomes perfectly viable if you train him, but I do find that he struggles a bit to stand out, so I rate him 3 out of 5 stars. Thank you so much for watching this Fire Emblem character spotlight. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, consider helping out this video with a like, and let me know what character you want to see me feature in a future spotlight by leaving a comment below. I would like to give a huge shout out to Madison Becht, who requested this spotlight of Saizo as well as this drawing as his silver tier Patreon reward. He also wondered if I could give a shout out to his YouTube channel in the spotlight, so I'll post a link to it in the video description if you want to go check it out. Before we end this video, I want to give a massive shout out to my amazing Patreon supporters. You guys are the best, and I really appreciate each and every one of you. You make it possible for me to produce all this Fire Emblem content for you all on a daily basis, especially now that YouTube is demonetizing videos left, right, and center for seemingly no reason at all. If you become a Patreon supporter today, you get instant access to my Patreon-only Discord chat, the ability to participate in Patreon hangouts, and ask questions for my Patreon Q&A videos. Also, if you become a silver tier Patreon, you can request your very own Fire Emblem character spotlight, alongside a drawing of your favorite Fire Emblem character done personally by my designer. You can check out our Instagram or Facebook page by clicking the link in the video description to see some of the work she's done previously. She is extremely talented. Also, my 2 script readers, Sonagi and Heliosan, help me with the fine-tuning of the script of the spotlight, along with Mecha, who also assists with correcting errors and mistakes. Anyway, that's all for now. If you want to see more spotlights, check out the playlist linked in front of you. There's also another direct link which will take you to the previous spotlight I did. Anyway, my name is Mangs. Thank you for watching all the way to the end. You are a true fan. Don't forget to leave that like, and I will see you guys next time. Goodbye.